We're now going to begin to look at the first of the policy reasons for excluding evidence. And by policy reasons, we mean that there are reasons perhaps unrelated to whether we get the right outcome for excluding evidence. We looked in the introduction at subsequent remedial measures and compromise offers and insurance coverage. Character evidence is a little bit different than these because we are concerned with character evidence less that we're excluding evidence that will help us get the right answer for some grander purpose, and more that we're excluding evidence that might cause us to go down the wrong path and yet still get the right answer. We feel like that character evidence might cause juries to look at the wrong things. Not that they would get the wrong answers, but in some ways that this would cause juries to, it would cause our confidence in juries to diminish, because we might fear that they decide that if a person is a bad person in the past, that he's been a bad person in the present, or at least in the case that we're looking at. So character evidence is about less our fear that juries might get it wrong, or that character evidence has nothing to say about the present case, and more about our fear that by looking at the past to predict the future, we kind of rattle our confidence in whether we truly examined the evidence of the wrongdoing in this case and came to an answer based on the particular evidence at issue here. So let's look at the specific provisions of the rules of evidence with regard to character, all of which we're going to get into more thoroughly as we look at the specific provisions. But there are three basic provisions in the rules of evidence regarding character. Those would be 404A1, 404A2, and then 404B. 404A1 essentially says we don't like character. We don't use character. We don't like it. We don't like the idea that the past could be used to predict the future. There are all kinds of bad reasons for that, which we've kind of talked about a little bit and we'll get more thoroughly into. But the idea of 404A1 is this is bad stuff, don't use it. Then we get to 404A2, which says except. Except when? When? What's the exception for 404A2? This one, not so problematic. When character is really the only way we can resolve something, the court says in 404A2, or the rules say in 404A2, it's okay to use character if character is at issue. When is that the case? So if the lawsuit actually involves someone's character, if I say you're a liar and you sue me, and I say you actually are a liar, or at least you have a reputation for being a liar, so I didn't defame you in any way. Your character is at issue in the nature of the lawsuit. In a libel suit, your character is at issue. There are other times when we look to character issues because there are no real other ways to resolve the case. If two people are in a fist fight, one kills the other, and we want to know who the first aggressor is. It's kind of rare to actually have enough witnesses on hand to report the scene and how it unfolded. So in those types of instances where we're looking at a first aggressor, courts will say that character is, if it's not actually at issue, it's close enough to the issue we need to resolve that we can look at character. So 404A1, never. 404A2, when it's at issue or highly, highly relevant. Okay, those two kind of make sense. And there's no real major inconsistency between those two. But then we'll scroll down to 404B. And I won't go through the provisions of 404B, just highlight them for you on the screen here so that you can go back and look at them. And we're certainly going to delve more thoroughly into 404B in particular. But 404B says if you're using this evidence of prior acts to show something other than propensity to commit a bad act in general. You did it before, you did again. If you're using it for something other than that propensity, then you can offer prior bad acts. And as we will see, the line between what is character and forbidden under 404A1 and what is not character and what is some other purpose, like showing intent, motive, knowledge, or modus operandi, the line between those things is so thin that by the end of the time, you will be convinced, I believe, that 404A1 is actually kind of meaningless, and the whole ball game is resolved by 404B2. But that's for you to decide whether my strong view of this is actually reflected in the case law. But know that there is, under anyone's perspective, a real dichotomy between 404A1 and 404B2. That one says character bad, out. 404B2, if you can fit it into one of these boxes, it comes in. And that's where we will begin our study of character.